Welcome to the another episode of 10xMarketer podcast. If you are an e-commerce brand owner or a marketer, this episode is going to be special for you. Today, we have invited Phil Masiello. He's a visionary entrepreneur and a renowned expert in e-commerce, Amazon selling, and digital marketing strategies. He's the founder and CEO of Crunch Growth. It's one of the fastest growing marketing agencies. He has over 20 years of experience and an MBA from University of Maryland. His entrepreneurial journey is marked by several disruptive businesses such as Daily Market, The Raw Essential Skincare, and 800races.com. His ability to drive sales and deliver outstanding results has earned him a reputation as a hands-on practitioner and a business leader. So if you are an e-commerce brand owner and if you really want to scale your business, this episode will really help you gain your strategies in place. So let's hear from Phil.
Yeah, my name's Phil Masiello. I'm the founder of Crunch Growth Revenue Acceleration Agency. But prior to that, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 27 years old. I founded Raw Essentials with Carol Alt, which was a beauty line, a beauty skincare line. I founded the Daily Market, which were a grab and go meal stores in the Washington, D.C. market with an e-commerce presence. I founded a shaving company. I founded several different businesses. Those were the ones that were successful. But just like everybody, there are a lot of unsuccessful attempts in the rearview mirror of that. So
Awesome, Phil, and thanks for the quick and nice interview. Nice introduction. Now the first question is: you talked about failed businesses and successful business. What are the some of the secrets or learnings from the successful businesses? If you would like to share that first.
from successful businesses, the key is really, and I talk about this all the time with young entrepreneurs that I mentor. I talk about it with our clients. You have to be able to say something about your business that the competitor can't say, because that's the first step to success. Because if you have nothing different to say about your business, if you are saying the exact same thing as your competitors, then the problem you're faced with is you have no path to differentiate yourself. You have no path to connect with the consumer. They're going to be confused because you're going to be saying the same thing over and over again as your competitor does. So that becomes an uphill battle to success. The second thing is, how are you going to get noticed? How are you going to get your brand noticed? I talk to a lot of people who think that they're just going to set up a website, start running ads, and people are going to flock to their site, and um, that's just not the way that it happens. You have to think about what are the tools you're going to use to get your brand noticed. If you just think you're going to run ads, and you better have a big bank account, because it's going to take a lot of money. And that's where things like PR comes in, or stunt PR, which I'll talk about in a little while, things like that. And the third piece is to success is really knowing who your customer is. I tell startups, I've employed this myself. Before you do anything, before you think about raising money, before you think about uh, all the pieces to your brand, you have to make sure that you have your minimum viable product and go out and find customers for that product. Because it's not just about finding a customer once. If they want to buy that product the second time, then you know you've got a product. If they just want to buy it once and then leave, it's tough to be successful. But you need to do that step before you start massively investing in your business.
So, Phil, there are two challenges for most e-commerce businesses or e-commerce entrepreneur these days. One is the entry barrier is very low. You can build a website and you think you are an e-commerce entrepreneur, you can launch the product. The second part is uh, the market is very aggressive and crowded, so people are offering discount after discount, and The consumer loyalty is also going really low because everyone is exploring all the time. How do you see so you talked about differentiating yourself, you talked about standing alone or standing differentiated in the market. How do you really do that in a crowded market or crowded situation like the one we have right now?
That comes down to your plan. That comes down to your product, your plan, what you're building, and why you're building it. Um, you have to go into this knowing that you're going to do something that's different, something that's more beneficial, something with a little bit of a different twist to it. Um, it could be a different service model. Let's look at a brand like Chewy, right, which is in e-commerce company, sells pet food. That's been tried multiple times. We had pets.com back in the early 2000s. It failed. We had PetSmart and Petco trying to do it, and they failed. But Chewy was able to scale very rapidly. And what are they doing? They're reselling other brands. They didn't have their own brands, but what made them different was their approach: fast shipping, always in stock, friendly, fun environment, having the things that your pet needs, but making it very easy to reorder in the same way that Amazon makes it very easy to reorder. And those things connected with consumers, because what do consumers look for? It doesn't matter. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, consumers are still going to say, I want a great value. Could be that value could equate to lower price. That value could equate to lower price and fast shipping, but they want a great value. They want fast shipping, and they want a good selection. A good selection doesn't necessarily mean 1,000 products. It means the right products for them. So you have to think about what you're building and how you're building it before you even go into it. If you can't answer that simple question when you're building your business plan, what is it that you can say about your business that the competitors can't say? If you can't answer that question when you're building your business plan, then stop, because it's going to be an uphill battle.
That's so true, Phil. And when you are consulting startups as part of your Crunch Growth Accelerator, Revenue Accelerator agency, uh, how clear startup founders are about their identity, about their brand, about their differentiation? Or do you really need to dig into with them and get those answers?
Yeah. Well, two things. Crunch Growth works primarily with brands to accelerate their growth. We do Amazon's. We help people sell on Amazon. We help people sell on e-commerce, etc. My personal business, I help entrepreneurs, and I mentor entrepreneurs. I coach entrepreneurs, and so that side of it in many cases, you never want to tell an entrepreneur that he doesn't have a good idea, because I don't think that that's a good approach, because the fact that you're out there trying, the fact that you're out there doing something tells me that you're interested. But what I do is I'll ask a lot of questions and get them to think about their business in a different way, and get them to study the market a little bit differently. So I find that, you know, I would say that it's probably 50-50. There are a lot of entrepreneurs that get it when they come in, they have a business plan, and they really have a unique idea. Now, sometimes that unique idea may not be able to translate into consumers, into customers, whether it's B2B or B2C customers, doesn't matter. Sometimes they come in with an idea that they think is a great idea, but the market may not think it's a great idea. So really, it's about getting it's about getting entrepreneurs to really look at what they're building, why they're building it, and what does the market say. And that's why, again, I'm a big advocate of get your product out there as fast as you can in a minimum viable product with the least amount of investment, and test it. Find a customer who's going to buy your product and see if they're going to buy it a second time, and talk to them about it. Find out what they like, what they don't like, because those are the things that are going to tell you what needs to change. I don't care what you put in your business plan. 3 months after you start, that business plan is going to completely change once you start getting customers.
So let's say you are mentoring one of the startup founders, and they are really keen into getting into the market, and they have spent a lot of time building the product. Typically, is there any way to find out whether I will succeed or not in the market? How much time or how much money you should actually burn before you decide that now is the time, or is it completely the founder's call?
I think those questions really are dependent upon what you're what you've created and what you're selling. Um, had a had a great guest on my show, a guy named Jason Tan, who created a great app which he's using. It's an AI app that responds on LinkedIn to comments. And here's somebody who spent, he did most of the development himself, along with some of his developers. I don't know what that cost was, but as far as him getting it out there, he is using um, consumers and customers or businesses to sort of push that out. So he's already got 50,000 users, and he hasn't spent any money on marketing yet. He's done it all through word of mouth and letting people try the product, giving it to them free, and then let it for a period of time, and then seeing if they want to sign up, and they are. So I think that, again, it depends on the product that you're selling. Some consumer products, if you were trying to sell a new phone or a new electronic device, that's going to have a heavy investment in both marketing as well as the product development. If you're doing a SaaS product, it depends on how good you are at developing yourself, and if you're doing it. So I mean, those questions can't be answered. You would have to be specific about what that product is. So, and then if you have some sort of an idea on how you're going to launch the product, are you going to do something different that gets out there, quickly? So when you think about it, all the startups that you've ever heard of, all the startups that you know about, you've generally read about them somewhere in the press. You've read about them on bloggers, vloggers. You've heard about it. That doesn't happen by accident. That's a plan. And that's a plan to use PR, and that's a plan to use bloggers, vloggers, influencers. Press is influence, a different kind of influence, earned media. All these things play into it.
Awesome, Phil. Now, you talked about multiple B2B and B2C businesses. Now, specifically, if we talk about the e commerce business or people who are selling consumer products on platforms like Amazon, one of the biggest challenge they have is building a loyal customer base, because Amazon is a crowded marketplace and everybody is selling the same or similar kind of product. It's very hard to differentiate. Then two two problems most people face. One is how to build a loyal customer base, and then second, how they can increase the customer lifetime value. So specifically in the e-commerce market, how do you see entrepreneurs should focus there?
There's two approaches to selling on Amazon. You can be a reseller,
Mm-hmm.
selling the same products as everybody else, which I think is a terrible business model. I think that you're not going to make a lot of money, contrary to what these dumb ads that are on social media tell you, where you're going to pay them for a training course and they're going to teach you how to sell and how to get the products. I think it's a big disservice, and I think all those guys should be shut down. Um, the second way is brand building. You can build your own brand, private label it, whatever you want to call it, but building your own brand. So when you're building a brand, you're, again, setting yourself apart from what the competitors are. And Amazon is one cog in your e-commerce flywheel. It's not the only. I think people that have dedicated 100% of their effort to Amazon, it's really difficult to expand out of there. What you really want to do is use Amazon to get, you're going to get that first purchase, that second purchase on Amazon, no question, because customers trust Amazon. They know that if you're an unknown and they try your product, then they don't like it. They're going to be able to get their money back from Amazon. They're not going to get their credit card stolen, all those different things. So Amazon is an important part of your e-commerce strategy, but it shouldn't be the be all end all. What you really want to do is use Amazon, provide a great product, provide a great service, make sure that you communicate with that customer, make sure you read your reviews and find out how the customer views you and get as many reviews as you can. But at the same time, the customer knows how to use the internet. If they like your product, they're going to eventually come to your website and find you. Your product should also be on other marketplaces, depending on the type of product. You could be on Etsy, you could be on Walmart, you could be on Wayfair, you could be on Target, you could be on all these different marketplaces. And it's not about, that's not as much about trying to grow your, it's always about growing your sales, but it's not as much about, that I'm going to go on walmart.com or I'm going to go on Etsy and that's going to bring me from 1 million to 10 million. What it's going to do for you is when the customer searches for you, searches your reviews or whatever, they see you in a lot of different places, and it gives them a much more secure feeling about the quality of your product.
Awesome, Phil. So, next question is related to that. When you are selling your product everywhere and it's like available on all the marketplaces on your own website, or there is a lot of user generated content. People talk about your product, your brand on every on the internet. Now, as a brand, how is it possible for you to control the narrative? Because when it goes out of hand, it affects your brand negatively.
How can you say it again?
Yeah,
When people
so I'm talking about user generated content. And when I talk about user generated content, it can be people using your product and they're building a video while they're using your product. Some people may find negative consequences about your product. Maybe they write a negative review on different platforms. So as a brand, you have to be responsive everywhere. And if you are an e-commerce entrepreneur running your business with a small team, it becomes very difficult for you to control the narrative. What are these that people can use there?
I, I think that if you have a lot of negative comments, you have to fix whatever that problem is. I think that most of the time, I mean, if you're getting user generated content, generally you're the one who's trying to do it. You have some program in place where you're out trying to get user generated content. So you're sort of handpicking who you're who you're using. Now, certainly there are people that are going to get a hold of your product, make a video, and say, "I don't like it." Well, what don't you like about it? But to me, if you have a solid product and you're getting 98% positive comments and you're getting 2% negative comments, then respond to those comments. Respond in a positive way and tell them, thank them for the feedback and point out, maybe they didn't use the product correctly. Maybe it's just not for them. Maybe we have a razor product that we're working with today that's just not right for a lot of people. It's not right if you're a traditional blade shaver, for example. You're not going to like this product because it's an electric product. It's made more towards for millennials, Gen Z, those types of people who have a different value set. So you're not going to like it. So we point out to people it's not for you. We didn't target you. We weren't trying to sell you. We say specifically on there that this is not for an everyday blade user. So you bought it, you didn't like it, you're giving us a negative review, and we're sorry about that. But we're telling you clearly this product's not for you. And so we've handled it that way. But generally, that's how I would do it. We respond to negative comments with positivity and pointing out, what the product is and what it's good for and what it's useful for.
Awesome. So, next thing is you talked about your interview with Justin, and a lot of people are talking about how AI is going to impact everything that is happening on this planet. How do you think this is going to impact the e-commerce businesses going forward?
we've been using in our agency, we've been using AI products for several years in different forms. They've gotten better, they've improved. It's great at generating content for your product pages, improving the content on your product pages. We've gotten to the point where we run content, anything that we write, we run the content through. It's great for automation emails. It's great for chat bots on your websites to help customers so you don't lose them when they hit your site, to keep them on the site longer. It's great for a lot of things. We've been testing some of the ad automation platforms that use AI, that generate content and generate the imagery. Um, we're not, excuse me, sorry. We're we're not so keen on that right now. We still do the content, whether it's video or images. We still do that manually because from what I've seen, it just doesn't look it doesn't look as good. And number two, we've tested it on several different occasions, and the customers just don't connect to it as well. Um, but AI, it's inevitable. It's a tool. It's just like everything else. So we use it in a lot of different ways. I can't even think about all the different ways we use it. I mean, it helps us when we're editing videos, we use it in so many different ways. And I think AI is has a positive impact if you use it correctly. If you think, and I see these ads on social media as well, fire your marketing agency and just use this plug-in and it'll build your ads for you. I think if you do that, you're just wasting your money because your ads aren't going to work. Um, but more importantly, what AI is great for, what we've found, is in helping us to analyze results and using it for big data and trying to understand multivariate analysis, right? Not just single variant, because too many times we say, okay, well, we're going to analyze an ad. Well, let's look at the click-through rate or let's look at the number of orders. But if you there are a lot of AI tools out there that'll help you analyze 15, 20 different variants, and it gives you a different perspective on how your ads do and what worked and what didn't. So I think that's where the biggest impact is.
All right. So let's say AI is going to have a lot of impact on the e-commerce businesses, and the future we have still not seen, maybe 10-15% of the AI development. A lot of new things are coming. You talked about chatbot. Is it going to be a significant thing for e-commerce businesses going forward, that chatbot will help the user with answering all the questions and then maybe converting them into the sales?
I think if you have the right chatbot, that it will, because if the ones that we're testing um, are scanning your website constantly, looking at your products, looking at your descriptions, and it's more proactive than reactive. So it's helping a customer who seems to be moving from different pages with, "Can I help you? What are you looking for?" You know, and then the customer puts in a little bit more information, and then it can bring you right to a product that solves what the customer is looking for. So, especially when you have an e-commerce site that has a lot of products on it. Sometimes, um, you know, we have e-commerce sites, especially in fashion and especially in um, multi-category e-commerce sites, where you wind up with the paradox of choice, where you have so much to offer and so many variations that the customer has no choice. They sort of can't make a decision anymore. So I think when you have really e-commerce sites with a lot of categories, a lot of products, it's definitely going to help. And I think that the technology with that, on how it's scanning the sites, and as long as your site is really built correctly and your product pages are really optimized, I think it's going to help tremendously.
All right. So next question is related to the e-commerce businesses only. You have built multiple businesses so far, and you have scaled some of the business to greatest heights. According to you, what is the best or biggest channel that can contribute to your growth? In your experience, I'm not talking in general. In your experience, what channel worked best for you in terms of scaling your business?
Uh, well, to start out with, Amazon was, um, but well, that's not wholly true. When we started the skincare business, we were using television shopping, HSN specifically, and we were on Amazon and we were on our website. But because of that exposure from television, it was great. With the shaving business, we did a combination of Amazon, our website, and um, we also ran television commercials, connected TV type commercials. And so I think, but as far as sales go, Amazon, we did a study about, I'm going to say that it's been about 6 years. We did a study where we studied the traffic from over 100 e-commerce sites. And when a customer who doesn't know you, totally new, customer sees your ad, customer hears about you, could be on a blog, it could be coming from an ad, wherever. The first thing the customer does is they go to your website and they look at your website and they want to see if you're a legitimate company. They want to see, because there's a lot of scams out there. So they're always skeptical. But so they go to your website and they take a look around at the product and they're sort of thinking, is this something I want to buy? Then they go to your social media and they're looking at your social media and the quality of what you're putting out there and how you're interacting. And then they go to Amazon. So that takes about 5 seconds for them to do all that. And they've made the decision about they want to try your product. So they go to Amazon. They go to Amazon to make that purchase. They do it because they trust Amazon. Amazon's got an A to Z guarantee. They know they're not going to get their credit card information stolen, all those things. Amazon makes it easy to order. They can do it right on the app. They know they're going to get, if they have Prime, they'll get it free shipping and they'll get it quickly. So all those pieces play into it. Now, the customer bought your product. They tried your product. Now, it's up to you to deliver what you promised, a quality product that solves a problem. So now you've got some tools within Amazon where you can communicate with the customer. You're going to try and get a review from them. But what you really want is a second purchase. But if you do that, if you do the right things, and it comes down to your packaging, comes down to how you communicate, it comes down to how good your website is, all these things, customers hit your website so you could retarget them, things like that. So now it's up to you to get that second order and the third order. But what you really want to try and do is sort of shift them away as best you can from Amazon to your website, because what you want is a balance. Amazon, certainly you need to as a foundation to start your business, but eventually you want to get that to your website. Now, if you're on Amazon and you've got great reviews, but you're pushing your website and you're doing a lot of things to drive people to your website, you've got these great reviews, people can see it, then you have a better chance of converting them on your website. And that's really what you want, because the more that you can get them to interact with your website, the more you can communicate with them directly. Um, and then you have to do something. You have to do something to really break through the clutter to scale. You have to do something to capture consumers' attention. You can't just rely on building an Amazon store, running some ads, doing all that. It's a hard road. So you have to do something. I'll give you an example. I was a veteran of 3 startups by the time I started the shaving business. So we understood how to operate a business, how to scale a business, how to do all these different things. But we struggled with the shaving business. And this was before Dollar Shave Club and Harry's and all that. We had an American made razor. We had a great product. We had all the other pieces to it: shaving cream, aftershave creams, men and women. We weren't getting anywhere. We were running ads, blogs, social media, doing all the things. We were on Amazon, doing all the things that people um, do. And we were getting orders, but it wasn't doing anything spectacular. So we were trying to figure out something to do to break through the clutter. We had a million different ideas, some that were good and some that were stupid. Well, uh, I'm a baseball fan, and I woke up one morning and Brian Wilson, the he was a pitcher for the San Francisco Giants, and he had this huge beard, and he had gotten Tommy John surgery, and he got traded to the Dodgers, and it was the first time that he was going to pitch in a year, and the press were all over it, and everybody loved the guy because he was a good pitcher, but he also had this like great beard, this great look, and so we got up in the morning and we said, let's offer the guy $1 million to shave with our razor, and we sent an email to his people, to his management, and all we really needed was for them to respond saying that they would run it by Brian. That's all we cared about. And the minute they did that, we got our PR firm to let everybody in the press know that we were in discussions to pay Brian Wilson $1 million to shave with our razor. Okay. Well, what happened was it took off. We were getting interviewed in the press all over the world: Japan, France, United States. We were on radio stations, sports talk, everything. People were outraged. Social media was blowing up. People were outraged that we would pay a guy $1 million to shave with a razor. So they were sending us pictures of their body parts saying, I'll shave this for 10,000, I'll shave this for 5,000, I'll shave this for this. And so all of a sudden that got orders that launched us. So it was great for about 10 days, right? And then as things happen, it sort of dies off. People lose interest after about a week. And then TMZ caught Brian Wilson coming out of a gym in LA. And they asked him and they said, Brian, are you going to shave your beard for $1 million? And he says, I'm not going to shave my beard off for any amount of money. Well, it blew up again because now people are outraged that the guy wouldn't take $1 million. People were screaming at us, yelling at us, telling us people are starving in the world and you guys are, going to pay a guy $1 million just to shave. I mean, it was ridiculous for about 2 or 3 weeks. But what was the effect? The effect was that it broke through the clutter. Everybody knew our brand. Everybody knew our names. We hit the right people because it was sports focused, and sports is primarily men. A lot of women watch it, but it was primarily men. And we were selling, our number one razor was a 5-blade men's razor. So we hit the target, and that really helped us. But again, it broke through the clutter. We did something a little bit different. Later on, Dollar Shave Club did their video, which broke through the clutter. It was a great video, and they did a tremendous job. Yeah, and he was out for a year before that, struggling like we were, and before he did that video. So it really was. It really is learning when you say to yourself, okay, those are the lessons. When you go back and you look and you think about some of the great brands and what they've done to get there, to get into the consumer's mind, to get people to know their brand really quickly, you can start thinking about, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out there? That's sort of different and innovative, because it is a crowded market, like you said before. It's going to continue to be a crowded market, but there's always opportunities for creativity. There's always opportunities to show what you can do and break through the clutter.
That's so true. Now, before we close, I will have two more questions for you. One,
Sure.
let me ask one by one. First one is, let's say you have an opportunity to go back in time. and you have scaled so many startups and you have done so many mistakes. What do you think you would do differently next time, if at all you get such an opportunity?
I don't think we have enough time to go through that, but I would say the first business I ever started, I was 27 years old, and it was a complete and utter disaster. And it was a disaster because not because of the business model, not because of the economics, but because of me. And I was a terrible leader. I was a terrible manager of process, and it was it lasted. It was 4 painful years of me not making any money personally, making very little money personally, but if I were going to be able to go back in time, I would probably go back to that one and do it completely different. And again, it wasn't a business model problem; it was a me problem, and which was easily rectified. After I sold that business, I took the money and I went to graduate school, and not because I thought that that was going to turn me into a better entrepreneur, a better business person, but I think it taught me about to be a better manager of process, to be a better leader. And I got involved with a small specialty food company in Washington, D.C. And being involved with that in combination with going to school full time really helped me to become a better entrepreneur and a better leader. And so, but other than that, I mean, as we moved forward, there were a lot of there were a lot of failures along the way, mostly because of market misreads. Like I said before, you know if you're writing a business plan and you can't answer the question why, um, what what can I say about my business that the competitors cannot say? If you can't answer that question, you need to stop. But in a lot of cases, I didn't answer that question and I didn't stop because in my mind I was like, no, 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 this is going to work. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs sort of do that to themselves. And I've learned over the years from getting hit over the head enough times with failures that to stop, you got to be able to answer that question first and foremost. Then you can deal with the economics of the business. Then you can deal with all these other components to it, the business model and things like that. But if you don't know what's gonna, if you have nothing to say that's different than your competitor, you're gonna struggle.
That's a great answer, and it really came out convincingly from your bottom of heart, which is really good. Now, next question is slightly related to the future of e-commerce, but I would put it differently. What would be your advice to somebody who is 20-year-old and want to start an e-commerce business?
I would say what's again, I would say the same thing. What are you selling that's different? Because if you're going to go and you say, well, I read this, I paid for this course and they told me that I can make $20,000 a month selling on Amazon, and I'm going to go and I'm going to do online arbitrage and buy products here for less and sell them over on Amazon for more. I'll say to you, go ahead and give it a shot, but don't put too much money into it because there are guys out there that are doing $200 million doing that, and they're making very little profit. It took them years and years and years to become profitable, and they're tied to a distributor. So I would say, go ahead. But if you come to me and you say, "Look, I have this idea, I have this product, and I think it solves these problems," but I have to figure out how to get past phase one, phase two. Those are the types of people I like to deal with because then we can help them. We can help them conceptualize the product. We can help them find a manufacturer for their product. We can help them write the business plan. We can help them do all these different things and sort of guide them. We can help them with their marketing. We can do all kinds of things. We've seen too many times. We've had some great entrepreneurs come to us at Crunch Growth, and that have great products, but they spent all their money developing products because, again, they have this idea that I'm going to put up a website and I'm going to run some ads and people are going to flock to my product. They're going to love it so much. But it doesn't work that way all the time. One out of a million will work that way. So, um, we always say, again, you got to know what you're doing and what you're talking about and what makes you different. What problem does your product solve that's not out there? All those questions need to be answered.
Okay, so I think we are at the last phase of our discussion. What is your final words, final advice to e-commerce entrepreneurs before we close our discussion today?
Look, e-commerce, when you really look at the numbers, when you really look at e-commerce in most categories as a percentage of total retail sales, e-commerce still has a lot of growth left in it. So there's a lot of opportunities. But again, it's always going to be there. It's no different than retail, right? People can still open up a retail store that's new and different. But if you're opening up the same old, and you're just doing something that somebody's already done, you want to open up a sporting goods e-commerce store. Okay, well, you're just selling products that are readily available everywhere else. You're going to struggle. Come up with unique ideas that solve a problem, or a different way to deliver that product to consumers, a better way somehow. I saw a an interview with Jeff Bezos recently, where again he's said, and I'm sure a lot of people that have read about him knows that he's said numerous times that he thinks that eventually Amazon will fail because it will become so big and bloated. But um, his point is, look, customers are always going to look for a better value, and value doesn't always equate to a lower price. Most of the time it does, but a better value. The second thing, customers always want fast shipping. And the third thing is customers always want a good selection. And a good selection doesn't necessarily mean having everything in the world. It means having the right products that solve their problem and their need. So,
Awesome, Phil. And I think this was a fantastic chat. I really loved talking to you, and I'm sure my audience would get a lot of value out of our chat. Uh, Thank you so much.
yeah,
Have
my
a
pleasure.
nice
Thanks
time
for
ahead.
having me. Thank you for having me, Gary. I appreciate it.
Thank
It
you.
was fun.